Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Wesley the Writer. I'm Wesley, and I'm really thankful for you clicking on this podcast. I really hope that you enjoy what you're about to hear. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave a like, subscribe, and definitely hit me up in the comment section. I'm willing to answer as many questions as possible. All right, let's get into it. All right, everybody, let's get back into it. So, today we're going to talk about using the network you have access to as opposed to trying to just jump into the network that you don't have access to. Now, what do I mean by that? Who is in your corner? Are you working a job with good friends or a part of a family business like me? Look at those avenues that you're in and decide who it is that you can trust with your passion, with your project. All right. So if you are, let's say, if you're working with a good couple of friends and you all have this really cool idea, right? Like you want to, let's say you want to do a podcast. All right, cool. So first, understand that it's only you all who are interested in it, you know, and from there you're looking to build a base of people who are as interested in doing it as you all are, right? So I'll go back to the backroom crew as an example. I love using the backroom crew as an example. All right, so when we were together, we had a similar interest in wanting to do content for our area. We were looking at doing interviews and podcasting and just generally putting all of our creative efforts into this one project. Now, we did end up bringing on a lot of people who were interested, and we had a couple of friends, who were there, who were helping us because of their own personal interests, which was, that's good, that's expected. One of the things that you have to remember, though, is that you all have to bring something to the table. I think I mentioned that before in my Working with Teams podcast a couple of episodes back. And you have to be able to use, like, for all of you, using your parents as a main listening source is a good idea, or your siblings, or your guardians, or whoever you're close to. Getting people engaged in the small sense is what'll help drive your ambitions and goals forward to where you are, let's say, you're putting out the content that you know is what you're after, but you can always use your main source, your main group of people interested in order to really gauge a room and to grow. It really helps, like, especially if it's something cutting edge or nuanced, like any type of specific out of the box genre kind of whatever. It helps to have people pour into your project and a critique, right? A lot of people don't really like to hear critique as a motivator. But when you're able to have people come into your project and cut it up and dissect it and really get a feel for what it is that you guys are going after, but also where you should probably aim at, is a good thing because it helps you really grow not only as a business model, but as a content creator and also as a unit. If you all are working, let's say, independently of each other, trying to do a bunch of stuff that's just not seemingly sticking to the wall, maybe it's time for a regroup and an assessment. Maybe you should be looking at how you can make this thing actually something that you're willing to do, or finding something that you're willing to do that is specific to you, but also something that fits within the narrative of the group. And that can work for if you're just doing things by yourself, like me. You know, I have to constantly sit back and look at how I'm doing this podcasting thing, like how I was doing long form podcasts before, and now I'm switching over to short form. and really determining like, okay, what's the real end goal here? Like, what am I really looking for as far as content putting out, making sure that people hear it at specific times? What's the plan? That works well for me, but also it's not just the fact that I'm doing that myself. I'm using my family as a basis in order to really gauge the room. If they like it, okay. If they don't like it, I ask why. If they say that it's because it's too long, if I notice that they only listen to like 15 minutes of it, then I'm going to cut my content down to 15 minutes and see if they listen to the whole thing. Maybe it's more digestible that way so that they can actually understand what I'm saying and really grasp the concept rather than just, ignoring that part and then just continuing forward anyway. Because if it's not going to be your family, somebody's going to tell you that it's not that good, or you're going to try to keep peddling it to people at work and they're going to be like, yeah, man, okay, you did it, and not really give you the time of day because you're not optimizing for the people that you know. You're just throwing out content and you're expecting people to just like it. That's not a good way to go. Um, that could fit for anything that you do. I would say. It's just more prevalent these days because everybody just wants to get on YouTube or do short form TikToks or whatever, you know. And I feel like it's speaking more to that crowd than it is like say an artist who's just drawing something or, trying to canvas something. Because think about it, as an artist in that sense, I mean, yeah, you can get feedback from people, but if it's people people aren't going to just tell you that your work sucks regardless like that. Well, you might have somebody. I won't say that. You might have that one guy or that one person in your group who's just like, no, man. Nah, man, wrap it up. Don't quit. People who you associate with are more likely to help you grow if you bring them into your thing. Just don't overdo it. Let people into your ideas and let them into the process, but don't let them completely crowd the process. Like, don't let the criticism get to a point where they might as well just jump up and do the project themselves. If you're constantly leaning on people for validation, that's an issue, and you really need to back that off because you're going to constantly be bouncing your content up and down and sideways just to fit everybody's negative comment. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is adapting your content to fit within the criteria of most of the people who you're dealing with. If it's something off the wall like doing prank videos or something like that, well, that's great. But see, the thing about prank videos is the fact that you have to continue to escalate if you don't just set a solid basis behind your pranking. Like if you're just going like, okay, today I'm gonna throw shower cream on my significant other, my spouse. Well, okay, cool. Then the next week is gonna have to be shower cream plus. Then it's gonna have to be, oh, I rolled this bowling ball down the stairs. I hope it doesn't hit her. Stuff like that. All right, I might just be shouting out the Rhodes Empire, but I was having a conversation with them a while back, and it was hilarious. I don't know, they always make me laugh. We were talking about how you should constantly be putting out content, but you should also have that content centered on a specific focus. And they're doing pretty well now. I think their view count is increasing pretty well. But oh god, Tyron, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, but those the things that you do right for your content, you want people to be able to say, yeah, that worked, but you don't want to have people come in and can completely change up your game. Like if they're doing that and you're just like, going along with whatever they're saying because you don't have the idea to be like, oh, no, I don't like that part, or well, we'll just stick with this, or if you're not defending what you're doing while still accepting some form of criticism, well, then you're not growing properly. And for most channels, the people who maintain their viewership, they're constantly receiving the feedback and they're adapting. They're not flaking, or at least some aren't. And try not to be a sellout too. Anyway, they're not flaking, but they are mindful, and that's all it really is. It's just being mindful of it, of the process. Think about the places you go regularly and the people who know your name, and make them your audience. Share some work with them and ask what they think. If you go to work often and you deal with a lot of people who kind of sort of know who you are, you might be more reserved than most people, but get a little social. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Um, Prime example, I'm at work and I'm talking to this person about this, about the last story I just put up, the lake, which you should definitely go listen to, by the way. And we were talking a little bit. I was like, "Yeah, you're interested in audio dramas?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, man, I like audio books and all this stuff." And the whole conversation just shifted to, yeah, I was interested in voice acting for a while. I was in school and I did all this, and I was like, "Wow, that's great." Because now that's a potential person I can use to help me with my projects. But that's also a potential audience member. If they decide that they want to listen and stick around, cool. That's something I was shocked at first, but then I was like, man, that's really how you should go about it. You should go about bringing people who are around you into your projects first. Stop trying to chase numbers on Instagram and TikTok like that. If you're a content creator and you know that you can put out content, just put out the content and then get the people involved that's around you first. I would say if you build up 1,000 people who are around you who are interested in your work, and those 1,000, or at least know of those 1,000 people, and that's a lot of people. If you can get organizations involved with your work before you start trying to make your stuff go viral, now you're building up a solid basis. It doesn't matter about if your view count goes down low. You just go out and you do more content. Keep pushing it out, because you have a stronger base. You have a stronger group of people willing to help you navigate the field than it just being you. You don't want it to just be you, because at the end of the day, you're trying to make this bigger than what it is. I mean, most people who start this stuff want to be, want to have it. They want to be the it person in the space. So be the it person in your own space first and see how far you get with just that effort. And you would be surprised. You have a lot of people who would be willing to dedicate their time and energy to your project, but they don't know you. So get out there and let them know who you are. Continue to put out content and begin aiming at groups you find a local connection with. Ask your circle if they know where you can go to find more views and listeners. Or just constantly being in people's ear, constantly putting out content, constantly getting feedback, those things start to happen very quickly. It's like a wildfire. When people are really engaged with what you're doing and they can rely on your content, like being punctual, always having content coming in somehow, people appreciate that. And then you can take that however you want to take it. Get ad revenue off of it, sure. You want to just get private funding and send people to your Patreon, sure. However you want to go about monetization, that's how you start. That's how you really get the money coming in constantly. People are very particular on how they dole out money, especially nowadays. So if you're interested in having people fund you or fund what you do, get them engaged in what you do. Get them activated. Find out where you can go to get more people into your sphere of influence, because that's ultimately what you're becoming, an influencer, influencier. I don't know, I can't say it right. Oh man. In conclusion, don't neglect the people closest to you, and don't assume In conclusion, don't neglect the people closest to you, and don't assume the responses to your work. Stay focused on making content for you, and let your audience be the hype men and women to your work. Don't think that everybody's going to say no. It's not the case. People love working with you. People will love working with you. I guarantee you. There is someone out there or a group of people out there who are interested in what you do. If you can find people who are interested in like drawing chalk on concrete, trust me, there's a whole community for that. There's a whole community for whatever it is. You have to be the instigator for that stuff. If it's not in your area, if nobody's into filmmaking, if nobody's into dramas or into audio dramas or whatever, or into art or whatever, if they're not into music, if they're not into whatever, sciencey, whatever, it works for all levels. You have to be the one to get people involved. Open up a channel so that people can come over and actually vent their frustrations or share their successes, or whatever it is that you can do for your space that you're interested in. Do it and allow people to input themselves, not in the sense where they begin to control what you do, or you start to buckle under the weight of having so many people directing what it is that you're supposed to do. Focus is all about focus. Keeping your eye on that target that you're aiming for is all about what we were talking about before with maintaining your time, because that's the only thing you can control. And, using that network that you have in order to get further towards getting what you want. It's all about what you want. If it's more money, if it's passive income, if it's whatever, it's all about doing what you can do in order to get to where you want with as little issue as possible. Also working with the best people possible. And the best people possible are the ones that are in your direct sphere of influence right now. Stop looking at people as a burden and start looking at people as a benefit to help you get further. And you'll see that you'll get to what you want very quickly. And as soon as you adopt those strategies, trust me, you're going to succeed. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. When are you going to make that choice? All right, it's been Wesley, and I keeps it real. I'm out. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to the podcast. If you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate it if you left a comment, a like, and even think about subscribing. I will be putting up content like this and other forms of content daily and weekly as far as the short stories and stuff goes. So stick around and I'm sure you'll have a good time. Thank you.